All right, so let's move away from that conversation to another one. Well, Tuesday, that's today, 10th of October 2023, marks World Mental Health Day, a day that is marked to raise awareness and mobilize support for people that are affected by mental health issues due to armed conflicts. Now, the day equally provides opportunity for stakeholders to discuss available needs and best practices in addressing mental health issues. Well, according to the WHO, that's the World Health Organization, global prevalence of mental disorder increases to 22.1% in conflict situation as against 10.6% prevalence in populations that are not affected by conflicts. Take note, conflicts.
In Nigeria's northeast, due to the conflict, hundreds have been killed, millions displaced, and on the run to safety, while other households have been separated with their loved ones. Hundreds of thousands who were hitherto living a normal life have been left with no means of survival but a complete dependence on humanitarian aid. And this has put them in a dire situation, increased poverty, hunger and disease, vulnerability, abuses, and consequently, psychological trauma. Joining us this morning is Rita Umaru Akoji, psychologist at the International Committee for the Red Cross, ICRC, Abuja. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. Can you please unmute your device? And let's get into the conversation. All right, as we talk about mental, thank you very much for joining us. As we talk about Mental Health Day, many people do not understand what exactly we're talking about. So give us an idea, especially from your perspective, with the work that you do on the front lines, how important mental health is.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, and it's a great pleasure for me to be here. So mental health is very important to human life. Mental health is defined as an individual's ability to work productively in the society, to contribute to his community, to cope with the normal stresses of life, and just to flourish in their environment. Now, an individual's inability to do that would place them at risk, or it would make them to live a life that is not optimal. Yeah. So in the northeast of Nigeria and following the conflict that has happened, people's abilities to function in their daily lives have been severely affected, and these continue to impact their ability to live their daily lives. So the ICRC is working to help these people in different programs to be able to support them so that they return back to optimal living.
All right, so earlier on in the first hour, we had spoken to also a mental health advocate and a DG, talking about Joseph Oike, and he broke it down, especially looking at not just the north. He mentioned that there's also mental cases in the southeast. Let's just put it in general terms, the global, the world, Nigeria as a whole. And we do know that you are doing more, especially the ICRC, to ensure that they bring succor to those who are indeed facing this. But can you let us into some of the things that is being done so that those who go through these mental health challenges can indeed get some form of help?
Okay. So in the northeast of Nigeria, the International Committee of the Red Cross has partnerships with some important organizations. Key among them is the Nigerian Red Cross Society, and we also have partnerships with the Ministry of Health and the primary healthcare development agencies to be able to train or build the capacities of these partners so that they can provide services to those who are affected. So they provide these services through different programs. So we have persons affected by violence at community level. So in communities, we provide services. In health facilities, we provide services. This includes primary healthcare centers and major referral hospitals in the cities. And then we also provide support, mental health support to families of missing persons, and then to helpers who have frontline positions. We also provide mental health and psychosocial support to people who have physical disabilities. So in terms of the services that we provide, we have ranging from individual to group to family support, and then awareness raising is another key activity that we implement in the northeast of Nigeria. And this is because we've realized in the course of our work that awareness on mental health issues are quite limited. So it's good for us to take up this this avenue to be able to increase awareness of people about the mental health consequences that could arise from armed conflict and violence, and then also to raise awareness about the services that exist so that people can access and utilize these services.
So much for sharing the work that the ICRC is doing to help propagate the gospel of mental health and to ensure that more people access it. But I want you to, maybe in a few seconds, just give us an idea of how badly, I mean, the ICRC majorly attends to a number of people, and the work you do with the Red Cross attends to people on the front lines. How does this mental health affect them? We watch in movies and we're seeing, you know, post-traumatic stress disorder. Give us a picture of exactly how their mental health is being affected.
Okay, so following displacement, there's many things that, should I say, reactions that people come down with. So it's people not being able to sleep. It's people getting very afraid over very little things. So having like an exaggerated startled response, something that's really little agitates you. There are people who continue to think about the difficulties that they have faced. They're not able to focus on other things. There's people who continually cry, so you have low mood all of the time, and people are really anxious. It's many different things that we see. This gives birth to conflicts in families. People are not able to communicate properly because every individual is dealing with their own difficulties, and to be able to find a middle ground now becomes difficult in the family. We see practical problems. People are not able to meet basic needs, and these also affect emotions very seriously. We see a lot of anger, we see frustration, we see many different effects. This is just to mention a few.
I mean, I like the fact that you brought it back home. You talked about families and so on. And I think there's a lot of work to be done in that area, in that regard. I don't know if you joined us in taking a look at the front pages this morning. The price of gas has gone up. The cost of living is high. I mean, you're a Nigerian, regardless of where you live, and you're equally feeling the impact. I want you to use this few minutes to help us. What advice would you give everyone, people, to ensure that they maintain their mental well-being in the face of economic uncertainty, especially now that the prices of food, accommodation, and the likes are indeed going up?
Okay, so this is the time that is very important for people to tap into their inner resources to be able to cope with the difficulties that we face. And this is not in any way disregarding the difficulties, the very genuine difficulties that we all face as Nigerians because of the situations that we find ourselves in. So this is the time to limit sometimes your exposure to media, because sometimes over consuming media can expose you to a lot of fear. You come down with anxiety and so many things. Anger, frustration, they come from listening to how dire the situation could be. So in the interest of your well-being, limit your consumption of news and media. Not to, we appreciate the work that you do, but just limit a bit so that
I was wondering exactly.
you can also function properly.
How exactly are we meant to limit the consumption of news media? Because we do this every day.
So it's an individual case-by-case assessment. So if you see that you're really getting bothered by the things that you hear on media, maybe you should take a step back and not focus on that at the moment.
And I
so
shall
take
cut
a
out
step
this
back
clip.
and leave it. Yeah.
I'll cut out this clip and send to our HR so that when I need to take breaks, they would understand that the news has been getting to me, and I certainly need mental health breaks. Because it's very important. We talk about mental health for everybody, but we don't talk about how it affects journalists. And I remember during COVID was my first major encounter with depression during the onset of COVID-19. So thank you so much for joining us. All right, go ahead.
So in addition, this is also the time to tap into inner resources, like I said earlier. So the things that you find very enjoyable, the things that help to replenish you and reinvigorate you are the things you should focus on. So if, for example, you're someone who enjoys physical activity, this is the time to also move a bit your body and get those hormones that would make you feel better come up. This is also the time to focus on looking after yourself. Prioritize rest and sleep. If you're having difficulties with sleep, this is the time to also reflect, pay attention to this, and take some sleep promotion tips, put them into practice, and see how you can get better rest. Also focus on social relationships and social connections, draw strength from the people around you, and just these kinds of things that would help you feel better in a time like this. There are those who do well when they focus on intellectual pursuits. So if it's schooling, if it's gaining new skills or learning something new that would help you feel better, this would be the time to lean into this. And then also finding meaning in life. There are those who feel very comfortable tapping more into the things that connect them to their purpose, so to speak. So serving, being of service to people, just giving something if you can. And this might not be money because we're talking about difficult financial times, right? So I'm talking about maybe offering a service, just helping somebody in need around you, these kinds of things.
Thank you so much, Ruth Umaru Akoji, psychologist, ICRC Abuja. Thank you for joining us. And I'm sure those tips will go a long way for all our viewers, and especially for those of us here as well. I'm sure we didn't pay for consultancy, right? Thank you. Thank you for joining us, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thanks.
right. Well, it's been a long conversation, Olive, and one of the points that we've mentioned is there is also mental health for journalists. And I do recall last year that was also a very important topic as well, and still is and will continue to be, because most times the journalists are at the forefront. I mean, take a look at the war that's ongoing, the Israeli-Palestine war. You would find the journalists in the middle of that war, trying to save their lives, run around and so on. So many people think until you are at the forefront of the incidences or the circumstances or the war, so to say, in quotes, that's where you need to ensure that your mental health is well taken care of. But regardless of that, we journalists also have to read a lot. So you have to take in so many things.
So much information that you really don't want to
And
take
some
in.
of these informations are not what your body or your mind truly needs.
I want to talk about something, though, that is not an angle that people pay a lot of attention to. And this is not for journalists, this is for everybody. So you don't, everything might even be working well in your life. You might have your job going on well. You might have your finances in order, your marriage or your love life in order, but you're still depressed. So it's a possibility. And, that's, of course, clinical depression. So it doesn't always have to have a reason that, it is because life is hard. It's because this is what I'm going through. Because I eat 3
square meals a day.
Yes, I don't have money for 3 square meal because my career is not advancing. If you notice, and I'm not saying this as an expert, I'm saying this as someone who has done a lot of research on mental health work and spoken to a lot of, people who are experts in the field. If you notice that there's been a lingering sadness for more than 2 weeks, please see an expert, get help. Talk to somebody. It's very, very important, because people who end up committing suicide, it doesn't start in one day. It's over time. It starts to eat at the fabrics of your mental well-being. And the moment you also notice that you're nursing suicidal thoughts, not like you're even saying you want to harm yourself, like you're just flirting with the idea that, what would it be like? That's already a red flag that should let you know that you need to see a specialist. The little ways in which you can help to protect your mental health, for me, I see a therapist, I go to the spa. When I'm stressed, I like going to the spa. And sometimes I just turn off my phone and just allow myself listen to music and breathe at home. The phone has so much pressure, social media, so much pressure. So please, protect your mental health, whatever you need to do today. And we hope that we can have more conversations about this and people can be more open about their journey with mental health.
Absolutely.